Okay, everyone, today's notes is going to be about solving one-step equations. Now, I mentioned this when we had our expressions notes, okay? Well, I had 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3 equals 7. I said that this one right here was an expression. I want you to try to remember what I said the second one was. 2x plus 3 equals 7. This is an equation. And I said that because it has an equal sign. Now, this is what we're talking about today, an equation. So now let's move down to our vocabulary, right? This first term right here, a blank is a mathematical sentence with a blank sign. I just covered it up here. What has an equal sign? An equation is a mathematical sentence with an equal sign. All right? It's that simple. Here are some more examples of equations. 9x plus 2 equals 11. X plus 7 equals 37. A plus negative 3 is equal to 2a plus 5. Each one of these has an equal sign, making them an equation. Now, a blank of an equation is a value for a blank that makes a blank. I know that's a lot of blanks, so I'm just going to fill this in right here, okay? A solution of an equation is a value for a variable that makes an equation true. Now, if you substitute a number for a variable to determine whether the number is a blank of the equation, if it's a solution. I know that's a lot going on right now, but now let's move down right here. Let's look at this first example. 70 plus x equals 200. Now, right here it says for x equal to 30. What this said up here, you substitute a number for a variable to determine whether it is a solution of the equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still have my 170, but instead of x, I'm going to put 30. So 170 plus 30 equals 200. Is that correct? Yes, true. That means 30 is a solution. Now let's look over here. 3 equals 12 minus a. I can still write the 3 equals 12 minus. Now, what am I going to switch out for a? I'm going to switch out 6. So a minus, or 12 minus 6. What's 12 minus 6? 6. Is 3 equal to 6? No, so this is false. All right? So 6 is not a solution. Okay? I'm going to leave these two down here for you guys to do, okay? Let's move on to the next page. Now, here's some important rules for solving equations. When you solve an equation, your goal is to get the blank alone by itself. We are trying to get the variable alone by itself on one side of the equation. In other words, you're trying to isolate the variable. That's a big word. Star's going to use this word a lot to tell you guys to solve an equation. You have to isolate the variable. Okay? When you're solving for a variable, you must use inverse operations to isolate the variable on one side of the equation. Now, another big rule is whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side. I'm going to say this a whole bunch. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. You must keep the equation equal, or, in other words, balanced. Okay? Think of it like lifting weights. Okay? So if you were to add or subtract weight from one side of the barbell, you either have to add or subtract the same amount of weight from the other side of the barbell to keep it balanced. You can't have 45 pounds over here. Let's say we have 45 pounds on each side of the barbell. And I want to take 10 off over here. So now I'm 35 and 45. Is this balanced? No. 45. No, this side is going to be heavier, making things more difficult to lift. So you always want to make things balanced on both sides. Now let's talk about the inverse of operations. Inverse just means the opposite. Okay? So for example, what is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. And then what is the opposite of multiplication? Division. And that goes both directions. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of division is multiplication. Okay? So, solving one-step equations by adding or subtracting. When you're solving an equation, you must use the inverse operation to isolate the variable on one side of the equation. Okay? That just means get variable by itself. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next page. All right? Add. If you add or subtract a number from one side, you must add or subtract the same number from the other side of the equation. These are very important things, okay? So let us go into this example right here. X plus 4 equals 6. Questions. How can I isolate the variable or get it alone? Which operation do I need to solve the equation? So I'm going to rewrite this right here. Is this x by itself on this side of the equal sign? No. We have a plus 4 that's right here, okay? Now, this is adding 4. What I need to do is I need to do the inverse of adding 4 to get rid of it, to get the x by itself. So instead of adding 4, I need to subtract 4. And what I do to one side, where's that at? If you add from one side of the equation, you must add to the other side, okay? So I subtracted 4 from this side of the equal sign. I must subtract 4 from the other side. 4 minus 4 is going to give me 0. So that gives me x alone over here. Nothing happened to x. We move them over here. 6 minus 4 is going to give me what? 2. Write the equal sign in between them, and that is your answer. That is a simple one-step equation. All we did is subtracted 4 from both sides and got x by itself. That took one step. Okay? Let's move right here. Same thing. Y minus 5 equals 12. How can I isolate the variable? First question. Which operation do I need to solve it? Okay? How do I isolate this y? What's preventing y from being all by itself? This minus 5 right here. Now, what is the opposite of subtraction? Addition, and we have to use the exact same number, so plus 5. If you want, you can draw that little line down the equal sign. I know some people like to do that. That's totally up to you. Okay, so I added 5 to one side of the equal sign. I must do that to the other side as well. So what that is going to give me is I now have y by itself, 5, negative 5 plus 5 is going to give me 0. 12 plus 5 will give me 17. 17. And put our equal sign in between the two. And that is our answer. Now here's some more examples down here. I'll work through the top half. I'll work through this one, and that one. And you guys will do the bottom portion. So, d plus 1 equals 5. I need to get d by itself. So I need to get rid of this positive 1. To get rid of positive 1, I subtract 1 from both sides of the equal sign. That will give me d by itself. 5 minus 1 equals 4. Same thing over here. X plus 11 equals 3. I need to get rid of this plus 11 right here. I have add 11. I need to do the opposite. I need to now subtract 11. I need to also subtract 11 from the other side of the equal sign, so I need to subtract it from 3. So this will give me x by itself equals 3 minus 11 is going to give me negative 8. If you need to use your calculator for this, you can. But think about this. All you need to do is count back from 3 11 times, and you will get negative 8. All right, last one. C plus 4 equals 5. Now let's get C by itself. The 4 is preventing us from doing that. So I need to do the opposite of adding 4. I need to subtract 4 from both sides. If you need to split down the middle, do that. Okay? That will give me C by itself. 4 minus 4 is 0. 5 minus 4 is 1. And do not forget the equal sign in between. C equals 1. Okay? Now, let's move on. Don't forget, we will have these 3 on the bottom open for you guys to do here in a bit. Okay? Next, we have some more practice problems, but these ones are a little bit different. They are oriented on the other side of the equals sign. So instead of t or y or m being on the left side, so earlier we had c plus 4 equals 5, we are on the left side of the equal sign. These are all on the right. Does that change anything? No, it does not. This is the exact same thing. 5 equals c plus 4. These two right here are the same. All right, so let's do the exact same thing. I will do the top row, and you guys will do the bottom. All right, so I have 11 equals t plus 2. I need to get the t by itself. So let's get rid of this add 2. The opposite of addition is subtraction. And then we have to do the same number. And then what we do to one side, we do to the other. Minus 2 on both sides. So now I have t. Oh, I wrote that wrong. Let me write that better. So 11 minus 2 is 9. 2 minus 2 is 0. So I'm going to have 9 equals t. There's my answer. Same thing over here. 17 equals y plus 6. If you want to put that line down the middle, go ahead. Plus 6. I need to get rid of that. Opposite of addition is subtraction, and then we use the same number to get rid of it. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 6 minus 6 is 0. 17 minus 6 is 11. Keep writing your equal sign, y. You can do this as you move along in your steps as well. So that will give me y equals 11. If that makes you feel more comfortable when you write the equal sign every single step, I would recommend doing it. All right, last one. 8 equals m plus 8. All right? So I need to get this m by itself. I need to get rid of this plus 8, so I need to subtract 8. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So 8 minus 8 is 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. Keep the equal sign, m. So m is equal to 0. Now you are free to work on the rest of them by yourselves. Now, whenever you see a variable, it is understood to have a 1 in front of it. All right? This is something real quick. So we're going to rewrite each variable, expression, or equation so that the number in front of each variable is visible. I've mentioned this before in our simplifying expressions videos and our worksheets as well. What this is basically saying is that if you just see an x, you can put a 1 right in front of it. It's the exact same thing. Let's move on to this y. Y minus 4 equals 4. I can put a 1 in front of that. Same thing over here. 1, x. I need to rewrite that 1. 1, x is equal to negative 14. And then I have t over 4 equals 4. I can put a 1 in front of that t. Okay? It's that simple, okay? All you need to do if you're ever confused about that, put a 1. All right? Now let's move on to multiplying or dividing. When you're solving an equation, your goal is to use the inverse or opposite operation to isolate the variable. If you add or subtract from one side, you must add or subtract from the other. The same number. You have to use the exact same number, okay? So let's move down here. I have 2p equals 18. What this is saying is I'm getting 2 times p equals 18. So how do I get rid of 2 times p? Multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I have to divide this side by 2. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. 2 divided by 2 is 1p. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So that gives me 1p equals 9. And now, we just mentioned before, when a variable has a 1 in front of it, that is also the same thing as the variable being by itself. So not only can you go from by itself to writing a 1, if it has a 1, you can write it by itself. So I can erase this 1 and just have p equals 9. And that's the answer. Let's move on to this next example. 4x equals 8. 4 times x equals 8. What do I need to do to get rid of multiplication? I need to divide by 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so these just cancel out. I get x by itself. Let's rewrite the equal sign next to that x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then x equals 2 is our answer. Let's move on to this next one. Z, let's give myself plenty of room, divided by 14 equals 2. Whenever you see something like this where it's a fraction, you guys should remember it as a fraction, this means divide. It's z divided by 14. So how do I get rid of divide by 14? I need to multiply it by 14. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. If I multiply by 14 to this z divided by 14, these will cancel out, and I will get z by itself. 2 times 14 is 28, and we cannot forget the equal sign. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Here's some more examples. I will let you guys work on this one by yourselves. The last little bit that we need to talk about is negative sign in front of a number. Okay? Whenever you see a negative sign in front of a number, it is understood that you have a negative 1 in front of it. Same thing like we had earlier. Instead of negative x, it's negative 1x. Negative 1y plus 1 equals 5. Negative x, 1x equals negative 12. Negative 1t divided by 4 equals 4. Okay, so when you have a negative in front of something, that means it's just a negative 1. So let's say we have d plus 3 equals negative 6. I need to subtract 3 from both sides. That will give me d is equal to negative 6 minus negative 3. If you have issues with that one, use your calculator. That is negative 9. Right here, I'm just going to rewrite it to help you guys out. If I have x plus a negative number, that's the same thing as x minus that same number. So you should be able to solve that one. So now, this one right here is kind of what I wanted to talk about, okay? So I have negative t plus 5 equals 9. All right, so we need to put this negative 1 in front, and let's try to get the t by itself. Minus 5 from both sides, and that's going to give me negative 1t equals 4. Now we're not quite done yet. We still have a negative in front of this t. We are trying to get it to be just the variable, all by itself. So if I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative 1 and flip whatever my sign is over here with my 4. So if my 4 was positive, now it's going to be a negative number. Okay? Let's do this over here. Negative, let's rewrite with the 1, p plus 6 equals negative 7. Okay, and let's draw a little line. So we need to get rid of this plus 6 first. Minus 6 from both sides. Okay? So now that's going to give us negative 1p equals negative 7 minus 6 is going to give me negative 13. I need to get rid of this negative 1. To do that, let's rewrite my p. All I do is I flip whatever my sign is right here from where it was. So right here it was negative. Now it's going to be positive. Over here it did the opposite. It was positive, and then it went to being negative. Okay, the rest are just going to be examples that I want you guys to work through. We've gone through some version of this throughout the problem. You don't have to do these ones down here. We won't be doing those. We'll just be doing the rest of these examples on your own, okay? You should use these notes to help you figure these out and solve the rest of these problems.